Alice Weidel is does become chancellor, I think that would be very good for Germany. And I think it's very important. I hope that German people unite and strongly support AfD. Go!
Thank you so much.
Alice is good. Vielen Dank.
Alice Weidel is the candidate for the office of Chancellor from the radical AfD party. This extremely conservative German politician lives in Switzerland. There, she and her partner Sarah are raising their 2 adopted children. Why is Weidel so popular with the German right? Do German conservatives mind her place of residence and her sexual orientation? Who is she and where did she come from? And what is the future of the alternative for Germany under Weidel? OSW expert Kamil Frymark explains. Alice Weidel was born in the west of Germany to a bourgeois family. She studied economics and management at the University of Bayreuth. Thanks to a scholarship from the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, she conducted research in Southeast Asia. In China, she learned Mandarin and wrote her doctoral thesis on China's pension system. She defended it in 2011 and later began working in the financial sector.
W 2013 roku Weidel wstępuje do AfD.
In 2013, Weidel joins the AfD in the west of Germany because that is where she lives, in Baden-Württemberg. For her, the party is first and foremost one interested in economics. This is a different AfD than the one we know at the moment. Admittedly, 12 years is not that long, but in the case of this particular party, it's basically a whole era, because the AfD in 2013, shortly after its founding, was a party that primarily focused on economic policy, for example, criticizing the euro. This was very important to Alice Weidel herself, and she latched onto this. She very quickly became an expert in Baden, in the state structures of the party, on her own economic issues or the eurozone. At the same time, the party did not yet have such a radical right-wing reputation. Among its founders were, yes, very conservative politicians and journalists, but the party didn't have this extreme right-wing slant when it came to issues such as migration policy.
Weidel climbs the career ladder. In 2015, she is elected to the party executive, and in 2017, she becomes a candidate in the Bundestag elections. Later still, she becomes co-chairwoman of the party, alongside Alexander Gauland. Currently, Weidel continues to hold this position with Tino Chrupalla.
To jest o tyle ważne, że te dwie osoby, zarówno Weidel, jak i Chrupalla,
And this is important because these 2 people, both Weidel and Chrupalla, they show a certain unity of the party. It consists of 2 very strong centres in the east, which is epitomized by Tino Chrupalla, who comes from Saxony. Weidel, on the other hand, from the beginning, was supposed to show the more open side of the AfD from the western states. She also led the regional structures of the party there and was the main candidate in the 2021 Bundestag elections. This reinforced her force within the party. It also showed how important she is in these personnel games to take over the leadership of the party in 2022, together with Tino Chrupalla. Again, they form a power-sharing duo within the grouping. Before the 2025 Bundestag elections, for the first time, the AfD nominated its candidate for chancellor, and this was Alice Weidel.
Her position in the party was not hampered by her grandfather's past. Hans Weidel joined the Nazi Party and the SS in 1933, and he served as the military judge during the occupation of Warsaw. After the end of the Second World War, he settled permanently in Western Germany.
nie poniósł żadnej konsekwencji za swoje działania w trakcie działań w Warszawie.
He suffered no consequences for his actions in Warsaw. Weidel always distances herself from her grandfather's actions and emphasizes that she had no actual contact with him, nor was her family closely connected to him. Naturally, as she became more popular and prominent in the party, the German media scanned Weidel's biography. The grandfather, Hans Weidel, in a statement to the German media, emphasized that he was just a pawn in the whole system and power machine. So, a classic response from part of the Nazi regime. Since she had no contact with him, this relationship did not incriminate her in the course of her political career either.
In 2018, the AfD submitted its proposal to revoke the possibility of same-sex marriages.
Życie prywatne Weidel
Weidel's private life does not interfere with her political career. She lives with her partner, Sarah Bossard, in Switzerland. They moved there in 2018 from Baden in Germany, a state bordering Switzerland, so they are geographically close. Their motivation was that they can live more freely in one household as a family there. They have 2 sons, by the way. All of this is, of course, controversial in parts of the AfD, whereas Weidel has managed to turn this around, or at least neutralize it, and create a narrative that she is, in fact, Sarah's wife. By describing herself in this social role and presenting herself that way, being the head of the AfD, she claims she fulfills the classic duties of a wife. This is accepted in parts of the AfD as sufficient explanation of the relationship. Moreover, she promotes and adheres to the well-known declarations of the AfD when it comes to family and LGBT issues. The AfD's program clearly states that a real family consists of a man and a woman and children. Well, in this spirit, Weidel explains that she is married and has children. Therefore, she fulfills the requirements of a real family.
Ms. Weidel today lives in a relationship that does not correspond to the classic family model. In your opinion, can this be called a family? The AfD stands for the traditional family model: mother, father, and child. How does it relate to you as a leader? First of all, this is also part of the CDU program. I don't know if you would ask a CDU politician this. For example, Mr. Spahn.
Schon. Ja, da unterscheiden wir uns überhaupt nicht. Und es ist auch expliziert, dass wir...
But I think we don't differ at all on this point. We clearly declare maintaining the current state of the law, including the recognition of registered partnerships as a permanent feature. And there is nothing more to add on this matter.
Dazu meine Kandidatur, aber auch Wahl. Es ist ja jetzt nicht nur im Spitzenteam.
I would like to add that my candidacy was also supported by a wide range of party members in Baden-Württemberg, a very conservative region. This clearly shows that the AfD, contrary to the public image, is a party that is tolerant and accepting of diversity.
Die entgegen des öffentlichen Zerrbildes sehr wohl eine sehr tolerante Partei ist und das eben auch mit akzeptiert.
Mr. Gauland, in Ms. Weidel's case, does living in a non-traditional relationship, not in the classic family model, mean that she fits into the AfD's definition of a family? Personally, I think such questions about her private life are unnecessary. Ms. Weidel has made her position clear. She supports marriage as an institution, although her private life does not necessarily fully fit the model in our program. In our party, where there are different visions and experiences, we have to reconcile the tension between how someone lives privately and what they represent politically. Both Ms. Weidel and I are doing that. I think many people in Germany have similar experiences. We should not draw any conclusions about our party's program from individual private decisions.
Für sich auch postulieren, gibt es ein Spannungsverhältnis. Und dieses Spannungsverhältnis muss man in der Partei aushalten.
Duża część zwolenników AfD
And a large part of AfD supporters don't drill down about this issue. Recently, one of the German weekly magazines did in-depth interviews with AfD supporters and raised this issue. They indicated that this is not the most important issue when it comes to their private life. This is yet another argument that Weidel raises. Yes, we have this in our election program, but how someone lives at home is everyone's personal issue and their private life. And it's none of the AfD's business. This is, of course, always controversial and contradicts what we sometimes hear from the rostrum in the Bundestag or at party rallies.
Wir schließen alle Gender Studies und schmeißen diese Professoren raus.
We will close down all university courses on LGBT studies and gender studies, and those who promote left-wing ideology will be removed.
Unsere Kinder, unsere Jugend.
Our children and youth need to once more learn worthwhile and practical things in schools and universities. The state has a duty to care about education, not to subordinate it to ideology. Only the AfD is able to provide a solid education for future generations.
Na wiecach partyjnych
At party rallies, however, this kind of argumentation gets through to AfD supporters, including because these people explain this inconsistency of the program and of Weidel's family life by claiming that other issues are more important. That is, even if Weidel comes to power and becomes chancellor, she will not focus on these things, on the sexual, private sphere, but will deal with migrants, security, the economy, education. And these are the competencies that are attributed to the AfD, where Weidel is also strong. Her private life plays a secondary role here for this most hardcore electorate of the party.
Wir haben einen Zukunftsplan für Deutschland, den wir in den ersten 100 Tagen einer Regierungsbeteiligung.
We will secure Germany's borders within the first 100 days of taking power. Any person who enters the country illegally or without the proper documents will be returned immediately. The German borders will be closed. This is a clear and decisive signal to the whole world.
Grenzen sind dicht, liebe Freunde. Sie sind dicht. Die Versorgung von Asylbewerbern von
Social benefits for asylum seekers will be replaced by in-kind assistance, and benefits for people without residence rights will be abolished. We will launch a widespread re-immigration campaign.
Ich muss Ihnen ganz ehrlich sagen, wenn es dann Remigration heißen soll, dann heißt
If this word is controversial, so be it. Re-immigration is necessary. When Alice Weidel joined the AfD, she was seen as a moderate. When there were disputes over leadership in the party, she unequivocally opted for the moderate wing.
Na to wskazuje również jej biografia.
Her biography also indicates this, her international contacts, what schools she graduated from, that she worked for big international institutions. All of this supposedly pointed to a more liberal approach, especially from the rich western states, Baden-Württemberg. The culmination of this so-called liberal wave within the AfD was speaking out against Björn Höcke.
Björn Höcke is the leader of the AfD in Thuringia, the most radical part of the Alternative for Germany.
We władzach partii jest...
The party leadership is a large proportion of his supporters and representatives. One can venture to say that no fundamental changes can be made in the party without Höcke's support. Weidel was initially against him, but reading the mood in the party, in the sense that he is simply too strong, that being against Höcke means one cannot effectively do politics in the AfD, Weidel changed her front and has become, maybe not so much a supporter, but she agrees with his politics and has an unwritten agreement whereby she supports, among other things, his representatives in the party leadership.
The high point was at the party's recent Congress in Saxony, where delegates appointed her as candidate for chancellor. Weidel thanked two people. The first was Elon Musk for his support on social media, and the second was Björn Höcke. Let's look at the city of Erfurt, where democracy was turned on its head, and the CDU entered into an alliance with the communists. The real winner of the elections in Thuringia is Björn Höcke, and he's with us here today. It was Björn Höcke who ensured her dominance in the party. Although she shares the position of chairperson with Tino Chrupalla, the most important person in the AfD is actually Alice Weidel.
What sets Weidel apart from other party members is above all a certain analytical sense and a cool-headed approach to many topics. When she takes to the rostrum, whether in the Bundestag or also at party rallies, she presents herself as someone who knows a great deal about specific issues. She speaks in simple language, but at the same time in a very composed manner, and Germans like that very much. She is rhetorically skillful, and while what she says is controversial, at the same time she tries to explain reality.
When the AfD takes power, we will abolish all wind turbines. These turbines of shame have no future in our country. Germany needs stable and reliable energy, not expensive ideological experiments.
Ona nie jest typem jakiegoś wiecowego...
She is not a rallying folk tribune type, not at all. And this is also her strength when it comes to these internal structures in the AfD, her popularity. She has made an effort from those earliest years of her political career in the AfD to show that politics in the party can also be done in a different way, initially a bit in opposition to this radical wing. This is how she gained support, especially in the west of the country. And it was precisely this feature, that she comes from the rich Western federal states, that was supposed to create a certain balance in the party's leadership. She is a Westerner from the richer, bigger states, while Kruppalla comes from Saxony and was supposed to epitomize this more radical part of the AfD. So we have both the East and the West represented. This is, of course, compounded by the gender issue, which in Weidel's case is undoubtedly an asset.
The AfD has a problem in its structures with the representation of women. Alice Weidel is the only woman in the party leadership.
Ona ma jeszcze jedną cechę, którą w zasadzie...
Another feature of hers that's attracted crowds of AfD voters as well as activists is a kind of celebrity status she has within the party. This is clearly visible at the party rallies when we had the opportunity to attend or observe these party rallies before the elections last September. The people who went, especially young men, but also young women, teenagers, were fascinated by Weidel. She is an idol for them, and they often took photos with her, which they later uploaded to their social media, showing that, almost like at a pop star's concert, they had managed to get her autograph or a selfie. Of course, she is popular among all age groups of AfD voters, but especially among the youngest. So she is also something of a role model for young female party activists.
With Alice Weidel at the helm, what is the future of the alternative for Germany? The AfD is in second place in the pre-election polls. This is the party's best result in over a year.
Co więcej, ta partia jest wewnętrznie spójna, to znaczy...
What's more, the party is internally united. All party leaders and activists are behind Weidel in terms of support. Internal disputes and certain personal animosities have been muted, and the party is striving for the best possible result with a sense of unity. At the moment, a total victory is difficult to imagine. The CDU-CSU are a few percentage points ahead. But, on the other hand, a result of more than 20% and the fact that in the next Bundestag the AfD will be, all things considered, the strongest opposition party is certainly a big success. It will also go to the credit of Weidel, who will be strengthened by it. And the largest opposition party in the Bundestag has a number of instruments to further strengthen its position and can be expected to use every stumble of the future coalition to expand its influence, deepen the divisions within the coalition, and prepare for, perhaps, a victory in 2029. The biggest threat to the AfD are its internal personal divisions and conflicts. These have been muted for the duration of the election campaign, but if the poll numbers drop, they will be back on the party's agenda and may again, as on several occasions in the past, even lead to a change of party leader. It's a feature of the AfD in general that this party is not very stable when it comes to its leaders, and there is often a change in leadership. Weidel has managed to stabilize this at the moment, and she has a lot of support and backing, but the elections are the central element here. If they go well for the party and it manages to maintain its internal unity, also being in opposition, Weidel will be strengthened by this. If there is some internal conflict, then support for the AfD could fall. The current situation in Germany has always been an important factor for the stability of this party, an external component of its support. I'm referring above all to migration policy, because this is the most important program aspect of this party. Radical action against refugees and immigrants, if there are attacks by immigrants or refugees in Germany, this has always strengthened the party. And this is an element that, even if the party has very low support, but something happens on the level of internal security, it strengthens the party. And that, in turn, could unite it further still.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, take a look at our other stories on screen now. And don't forget to subscribe.